Oh, happy day, guys. Mike's stuff is working for now. Listen to the richness and wholesome tone of Mike's voice.
Listen to me. Listen to how sexy and clean I sound. It's almost as if my voice has received a bath and a makeover. Maybe a pedicure. How does a voice have toes? I don't know, but somehow it did. But my equipment is working for now. So that's good. I haven't moved yet, but that's coming in the next couple weeks. But my equipment is working, so good stuff. Yeah.
Praise all things Barn Owl.
Praise Jeebus.
Yes, as we alluded to for quite a while now, this is a very exciting episode. This is something that we covered. When Mike brought it to me, I didn't think there'd be enough to do a show on it. There was, and it was fun to research and do, and he has found enough to do a part 2. That rhymed. What's up with me today? I've just got music falling out of my ass.
You got a little bounce in your step, a little song in your heart. COVID makes you happy, I guess.
Oh, no, not at all.
Happiness through COVID, the Mateo way.
It's the audio book.
Self-help videos to Patreons only.
But as I occasionally do, we'll get a dumb song stuck in my head, such as the Jetpack the Owlbear jingle. COVID,
which is fantastic, by the way.
COVID has taught me that I have enough time to actually make those songs, and you guys will suffer whatever mental condition it is that I have that makes full-scale songs appear into my brain. What ones I can, I will make. And I'm so excited about the episode we're going to do tonight. I made a jingle for it.
Summon the jingle.
It's episode will make you in your drawer. You thought there was one, now there is more.
I'm eating spaghetti while I do this.
That's right, guys. Mike has dug deep.
That's right.
He has found enough for Wizard Wars Part 2.
Wizard War Part 2. And Mateo's eating spaghetti while he's recording music.
I forgot that was in there. You know what? I'm going to adjust my effects to get back to reverb so we can yell wizard-like things during this episode.
That's not a bad idea. What do we have to set it at?
It is number, let me see here.
Reverb is
98. Try 98.
80. 98.
Yeah.
Do I sound like a wizard?
You do. Add that into your mix more with a blue knob under the button for the effects.
Add more of it to your natural sound.
More power for the wizard.
There you go. We're set.
My wizard voice is powerful.
The echo from my voice are the echoes of time itself.
So let's jump into this, dude. How did you find enough to do a second episode on Wizard Wars?
Okay, so this whole thing started with, well, let me preface this show by saying that by the end of this show, everybody that's listening will have the ability to become a warrior wizard. And you can take down world leaders. I'm gonna walk you through it and how you can do it.
Yes. Hold on.
So
use this power responsibly and wisely,
or you will be doomed. But this whole thing came about because this dude named Michael Hughes created this spell online called the Bind Trump spell, and it went viral. It started out, it was just him and his buddies doing this ritual to bind Trump and all those who abet him. and he put the ritual online, and it kind of took off. So then it started being a thing that on the waning crescent moon every month they would gather and everyone would do it online. They would all synchronize, so everyone was doing this ritual at the same time, and it just kind of took off. So every month they do this bind Trump and all those who abet him ritual. But so he came up with this spell, I think in 2017, and but he ended up writing a book called Magic for the Resistance. And so I was reading the book. It's
I got to stop you right there. I was hoping that's the way it would go. How cool. He was just like, you know what? I'm going to teach you how you should defend yourself with this shit.
Yeah. So it's a whole book about how to basically use magic in like protests and resistance against authority and things of that nature. But there's a whole chapter in the book that outlines various times throughout history where witches and wizards have gone against kings and those in power. So I was able to find a lot of information in here, and I figured Wizard War 2 sound like... Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Wizard War 2.
I figured it would be a good episode, and I actually have... So I was already planning on putting together some stuff for a second Wizard War involving British wizards versus the Nazis. And that I mean, just that alone sounds pretty awesome. But I'm going to touch on that a little bit tonight, but I don't want to get too in depth because we'll leave that for a future episode down the road. But after looking through this book and reading it and just seeing all this stuff in history, I'm like, we got to talk about this shit. It's fun. Who doesn't love wizards fighting? And then at the end, I'll walk you through the binding Trump ritual. And if if it's not Trump you want to bind, you want to do it with another world leader or, whoever, then, you can replace it and replace the person you're binding and, be a warrior wizard. Fight for your beliefs with magical abilities. And
if any of our non-American listening friends were wondering how things are going over here for us,
we're casting spells to beat Donald Trump.
People are using magic to overthrow their own president.
But it's not the first time. I mean, it's happened with the Nazis. But it goes back, to recorded history. Even in ancient Egypt, there was a lot of emphasis put on magic. That was just part of the way of life, and even really like the divination has always been a big part of ancient cultures. Any powerful civilization always had, their equivalent of wise men or magi, things like shaman, some sort of magic man, for lack of a better term, I guess. But what better way to fight against someone who's in a seat of power that is untouchable physically than to reach out with your magical abilities and cause harm to them? And if you got a bunch of friends that also want to do this, you all gather together, create your ritual, set your intention, and throw it out there, and you're not turning people into frogs or casting fireballs at castles or any of that like fairy tale shit, but you're trying to shape the universe towards a universe that is more friendly to your cause, I guess. You're just trying to manipulate things in your favor, I guess. But it's happened throughout history where people that feel oppressed, you turn to some form of magic or ritual to help them overcome tyranny. But one of the earlier ones that I want to talk about, it's just kind of just to get things started, I guess. It's just a quick little story, but this is from 968. That's the year in Scotland. And there was this group of witches that were casting spells on. They created this wax figure to represent the Scottish King Duffus, and they put it on a wooden spit and they started to roast it. And while it was roasting, they were basting it with poison. And as the story goes, the king started to get sick. And the sicker he got, the less he slept, which caused him to get even sicker. And so he became very ill. He was unable to sleep. And eventually someone from one of the king's men from his court was able to find this figure. And he was able to destroy it before these witches were able to put any more poison on it and end the king's life. And as the story goes, the figure was destroyed, and the king slowly started to recover. Because they were able to find where this figure was, they were able to figure out who the witches were. And can you guess what happened to the witches, Mateo?
They were sent to Mardi Gras.
They were burned at the stake. Burned!
They were punished!
Yeah, so he burned them at the stake, and they died. And they died, and they died, and they died.
Wow.
There was another story. I can't remember if we talked about this previously or not, but it seemed familiar to me when I was reading about it. But did we talk about the curse on King James? Do you remember that?
Ooh, we may have.
So the story goes, this guy named Francis Stuart, who was the 5th Earl of Bothwell, he was always alleged to dabble in witchcraft and magical arts and things, the occult basically. And he met a group of witches, and they were working together to curse. Well, I guess not so much curse the king, but they were going to conjure a storm to force his new bride's ship to crash, and as a result, she would die and drown in the waves. So what they did, they gathered together and they used this ritual that they had created to conjure a storm. And as Anne of Denmark, who was set to marry King James, was sailing to England, the storm kept pushing her ship back. She tried to make the journey 3 times, and every time she tried to make the journey, she was cut short by a storm.
Wow.
Apparently, the ritual was designed to cast the storm at Anne of Denmark, because King James was able to then sail to her, and everything was fine at that point. But according to legend, the ritual was done using black toad venom, an oyster shell, and a piece of the king's clothing. And they put all this stuff together and performed their ritual and cast this storm upon Anne of Denmark. And apparently Francis Stuart was interrogated over this and was eventually tried for treason and conspiracy to kill the king. But they weren't able to get proof that he was actually dabbling in witchcraft aimed at killing the king, so he was acquitted. But he actually was never arrested or killed as a result of this. He had moved on and fled to France and then Naples, and apparently was still engaging in witchcraft and the occults and the occult arts. But King James, after this whole thing happened, he went on to write a book called Demonology, and this was alleged to serve as some sort of source material for Shakespeare's Macbeth. This book was also used to kind of push witch hunters and led to the witch trials in Europe, which resulted in a lot of the the burning at the stakes that are so infamous these days. But this King James was also the one who called for the new translation of the Bible. So that's where the King James Bible comes into play.
What an interesting effect.
Yeah. I feel like based on how much he persecuted witches and the fact that he wrote this book and inspired witch hunters across Europe, it seems like he had more than, there was reason beyond superstition for him to be acting this way, I think.
Definitely, it sounds like he knows what power they have.
He was touched in some way by magic, and as a result,
right,
he lumped all magic together. And because some people used witchcraft against him, he deemed all witches evil, and then hunted them down and had them burned at the stake.
That's crazy. Could you imagine being some little kid tending to some farm work outside and having some dude roll by and knowing by his garb and what he has on him, damn, fucking witch hunter.
You always have that picture in your head of like the guy in the wide brimmed, like almost pilgrim hat with the cloak, and he throws his cloak back. He's got a fucking crossbow and a really cool magic sword, and he goes and he fucks up vampires and witches and demons.
That shit happened though.
Yeah.
There's some little kid who saw that guy roll by.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, oh
now,
my
if you
God.
were a king of some place, dude, would you be so weary of magic stuff? Would you like let fake shit of your clothes, like say fake pieces of your clothes circulate so they can get their hands on that shit so they wouldn't get a hold of your real shit for spells?
If I was a dickhead king, like I feel like all like these kings from the Middle Ages were all dicks, and if I was a dickhead king, you know how like the royals would hire some poor kid to be the whipping boy for their kid because you can't lay your hands on royal blood, but it's okay to beat the shit out of some other kid and make the royal blood watch. Like that's fucked up anyway. But if I was of that ilk, which let's be clear, I am definitely not. But if I were, I would definitely hire some poor guy and make him wear these cloaks so that whatever magic they were using from this cloak would go back on that guy.
Oh, and you'd keep him around just to see what effects happen to him?
I'd be like,
that's brilliant.
I'd be like, Mr. Pauper, please come here and wear my sexy purple robe around. This is now your purple robe. Your robe. Here you go. And then they give a piece to the fucking evil wizard that's trying to bring you down. Or I mean, in this case, he's probably a good wizard. Like, fuck you, you dickhead king. I'm going to kill you. And then he casts his sickly spell, and then Peter the Pauper is like, it's burning my guts and lungs and I'm dying. And I'm like, oh shit, good thing that wasn't my robe. Guess I gotta find a new Peter.
Bravo, that is awesome. Take notes.
Yeah, don't take notes if you're gonna turn into an evil war wizard after this though. But if you're gonna be a good war wizard, then maybe take notes. And you can make some asshole wear your super sexy cloak. Be like, hey, you're a fucking dick. Would you like this super sexy cloak? And he's like, oh, you know what? I am a dick, and yes, I would love that. And then he wears it, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to give this cloak to an evil wizard, and you're going to die. And then he gets all sad.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And then kind of, but I mean, really, from a karmic sense, if you're doing that, then if you're putting someone in the line of an evil wizard to get hexed and poisoned or sickened or whatever the fuck, then that's kind of on you, buddy. It's gonna come back and get you.
Yeah, you got it coming.
It's karmic justice, and you're dealing with magic. That's always gonna come back around.
Yeah, the whole fucking thing is karmic retribution, right?
I mean, well, and
good magic.
I wouldn't say the whole thing is, but I guess you could make the argument for it if you're being a dick enough that people are going to cast fucking negative spells at you. I would say that's your karmic retribution, but then the people casting the spells also have to face their own karmic retribution for harming someone else. And round we go.
So they'd probably only hit that pauper guy with light stuff like rashes and pustules.
Yeah, you're just gonna get some boils.
Yeah, so the caster will only get like what, crabs or something? Athlete's foot.
Yeah, maybe like at the worst the herp.
Fair trade, evil king.
You win this time, but next time I will not get the herp. But you know, that's what happens, man.
I will gladly trade this eczema for your hepatitis.
I cast hepatitis upon you, and may your balls fall off while you sleep.
And in return, I shall receive the clap.
Yeah, and back and forth you go. That's how STDs were created, through wizards just being dicks to each other. You know, warts and boils just weren't enough. They're like, how can we make this worse? Oh, I know. Warts and boils on your dick. How about that, wizard?
It was just the worst stuff they could think of.
May tiny beasts rain upon the hairs of your groin.
Fine. I will. You can give me crabs, but now you have anal warts. Oh shit.
Oh, you gotta be constantly aware of the countermeasure of what you're casting and what you're gonna get back.
Yeah.
And that's
especially if he sets up like some sort of if he's preemptive and sets up some sort of defensive spell or mechanism that can return your magic back to you. Ooh. Or if you can do it and make it come back tenfold, like you think you're clever and you give him fucking, you just like, hey, I'm gonna make him go bald, and it comes back to you, and then your skin falls off your head.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, that's kind of on you. You shouldn't have tried to make me go bald, motherfucker. Had you not done that, you'd still have skin on your head, but now you have no hair or skin. So I bet it really sucks to be you right now. And then people start calling him Scully, and he cries himself to sleep every night. His wife leaves him because who wants to be dating a guy who's got a fucking skeleton face? And then so he starts lifting weights, and then he adopts a panther, and then he fucking fights He-Man forever.
That's got to be like a bumper sticker of ours. That's what you get for trying to make me bald, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. Don't pull that shit.
Shit, I'm drawing that tonight. It's gonna be a wizard angry and pointing his finger.
Beautiful. I can't wait. But kings weren't the only ones that were targeted. We have talked about Queen Elizabeth and her, I guess, attraction to magic, mainly in regard to John Dee, who, you know, he's been on the show a few times now, but he was her court astrologer, and he was also a science advisor, but he dabbled in all sorts of crazy shit back in the day. And towards the end of his life, he started looking into communication with angels so he could find the secrets of the afterlife. But Queen Elizabeth was attacked magically by a lot of different people. That she wasn't well liked by mostly Catholics, and it was widely believed that Catholics could hold mass for magical purposes. And if you've ever been, and I don't mean any offense to any Catholics that are listening, but anyone that's been to a Catholic mass before that has any knowledge of the occult or magic in any way, you can see how the mass is very much like a ritual, in that it's a lot of there's a person leading, there's repetition of chants, there's call and response type situations, and it's leading to turning the host into the body of Christ and the wine into the blood of Christ. And in the Catholic Mass, this is not symbolic. Like, this is an actual transformation that's taking place. And it's this ritual that leads to that point, and then the priest is able to use the power of God to do this. But that's very much a magical ritual.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And so it was believed by a lot of Protestants that Catholics were able to use their Mass for magical purposes. And because Elizabeth was a Protestant, the Catholics weren't digging what she was putting down. So she was, according to John Dee and others in her court, was regularly the subject of attacks by these Catholic magic rituals. But it got to the point where she was so paranoid, or I don't know if it was her that was paranoid or people that were trying to protect her were paranoid, but in 1568, there was a worker who found 3 wax figures in a pile of horse shit.
Ooh.
And they uncovered, or they pulled them out of the horse shit, cleaned them off. They found that written on all of them were these magical symbols, and they were stuck with pig bristles. And one of the figures had Elizabeth written on its forehead and a pin stuck into its chest. So the queen called together her wizard goon squad, and she's like, "This is clearly something against me. We need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to figure out who's doing it. And John Dee, you're my dude. I need you to cast all sorts of magical stuff to protect me." So he did some counter magic to try to basically negate any magic that was cast upon this doll. There were a bunch of people that were pulled in. They were tried for the crime of trying to kill the queen through magic. They ended up getting convicted, and they were executed for magical treason.
Magical treason?
Magical treason.
Holy crap.
Yeah. There was a guy, he was also a magician and an alchemist named John Prestall, and he was tried and convicted of this magical treason, and he was waiting to be executed when it was finally revealed that this doll was created by this other magic man known as a cunning man who was using this as part of a love spell for two people unrelated to the queen, one of whom just happened to be named Elizabeth.
Ah.
So when this guy came out, John Prestall had his death sentence overturned.
Oh, good for him. Lucky.
So he was about to be executed for magical treason when it wasn't even magical treason.
He was trying to make love. That is insane. Magical treason. So, I mean, just that information alone. I mean, you can't tell me there's not a Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense in real life.
Maybe, or maybe it's just a group of wizards. Maybe like what people are saying about the New World Order and like all these like weirdo. They always say satanic because it sounds scary, but it's not really satanic. It's a whole other thing. But that's a subject for another show. But it's evil. We'll just say that and leave it at that. But these people that they're claiming, they often get tied in with the lizard people and weirdo sex cults and all that. But let's say that all these people that are in these conspiracy theories as part of this group, you know, the Clintons, the Bushes, the Rothschilds, all those spooky names that you always hear in conspiracy theories. What if they're like a cabal of evil wizards? And they're the ones that, like, through magic, they're putting people in power. And that's why certain people you'll see, once they get into office, they completely change. And it's because they're under magical influence at that point.
Ooh.
You bought in, and now you're being controlled by these evil wizards. And every now and again, you've got these good wizards on the side that kind of come in, and they're trying to do their best, but the evil ones are just... they're so powerful because of all the resources they were able to build up, and the good wizards are like the fucking homeless guys that live in the alleys, and like all they've had their entire lives taken from them, and all that's left is their fucking awesome magic and their will to bring goodness and light into the world and defeat the shadowy evil overlords that are controlling everybody. And people think they're the New World Order, and people think they're the lizard people, and people think they're aliens, but they're really fucking wizards, and they're doing all sorts of wizardly shit to stay in control. And we need more good wizards, guys. So I hope that this episode will inspire you all to be the best group of wizards that have ever wizarded, and we can all cast awesome wizard spells to bring awesomeness to the universe.
You're a wizard now, Harry.
Yeah. If your name is Harry, you are absolutely now a wizard.
You are obligated.
If your name is not Harry, yeah, you don't have a choice. If your name is not Harry, though, you still got some work to do, bud. We'll get there. Don't worry.
So you can even support your theory here with World War II. I mean, we know that Hitler was going around trying to gather all these arcane artifacts, and then that was the trade-off.
Yeah.
We were just like, we'll give half the scientists to Russia, but we're keeping all the artifacts. And they're like, okay, you mess with that shit.
Well, how about even leading up to World War II, when people were just letting Hitler do whatever? They're like, you know what? Fuck it.
Ooh, they were under wizard hypnosis.
Why would they? Yeah, it was magical wizardry.
Wiznosis!
Yes, absolute wiznosis. And he just has like this fucking cabal of warlocks that follow him around secretly. Like they're just dressed like regular soldiers. No one would know that they're warlocks, but they're fucking warlocks.
Yeah, how scary.
And they're casting all sorts of spells. They're like, you know what? We're going to cast a befuddlement spell and a fog spell so that everyone, you can attack whatever you want. And people are just going to let you do it because they'll be confused and we'll be fogging their brains. And it's going to be just like we'll be doing it right under their noses. They'll be aware of it the whole time, and they will be powerless to stop you. And so Hitler's just like, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's do this. But then he started having good wizards go against him. And in a future Wizard War episode, I'm going to talk about what's known as the occult or magical Battle of Britain. It happened in 1939, and it was one of the main parts were this woman named Diane Fortune, who had led this whole thing to fight magically against the Nazis. And I don't want to get too much into what she was doing because that's going to be in a future episode, but she kind of started the whole magic against Hitler thing in 1939. And then in 1940, there was a group of witches called the New Forest Coven, and they were casting a spell to stop Hitler from crossing the English Channel. And they gathered together on Lammas Eve, which is the day before Lammas, or the night before Lammas Day, which is August 1st. And for anyone that's not aware, Lammas Day is the halfway point between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. And it's a Christian holiday where people that are members of the church community will make this bread out of their wheat. And then they bring it to church on Lammas Day. And in some traditions, the bread that's made will then be
shaped like a llama.
No, actually, there's one picture I found of a Lammas Day loaf that's an owl.
Oh shit!
With salt crystals for eyes.
Oh god!
So
pure evil.
Further evidence that barn owls are behind everything? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't fucking question it. But these witches, they gathered together on Lammas Eve, completely naked, also known as skyclad. And they gathered together in a forest clearing in High Cliff by the sea. And their purpose was to raise a cone of magical energy that when it hit its peak, they would direct it into the mind of Hitler directly with thoughts that would echo, you cannot... Oh, wait. With thoughts that would echo, you cannot cross the sea. You are not able to come. So what I picture is Hitler. He's just laying in bed one night, and all of a sudden he wakes up in a cold sweat. I can't cross the sea. I'm not able to go there.
And I can't come.
And he can't come because he's taking too many painkillers.
Stress.
Binds you up too, buddy. But these witches were using the same spell that witches had used through history. Apparently the same ritual had been used to stop Napoleon and Sir Francis Drake at one point.
Whoa.
And the spell itself, according to Gerald Gardner, who's like the father of modern Wicca, basically. But according to him, this ritual was so powerful that some of the older or weaker members of the coven died during the ritual. And some of them even knew that the ritual would kill them, but they sacrificed themselves to protect the country.
Wow.
So they gave their life energy to put into this spell so that the country would be saved. But Hitler never crossed the channel. He never, there was the air raids, but Germany never invaded.
Wow. I think you've literally just explained everything. I think that
it's all wizards.
I think the dark wizards do control everything. And just think.
But every now and again, the good guys get a win.
Yeah, once in a while. But I think what's happened is that if everything's ran by evil wizards, what's the most dangerous weapon that can possibly fall into the wrong hands? What's the worst thing they can lose control over to an enemy?
The Necronomicon, duh.
No, all their minds.
What else?
All their minds. I think they're all good wizards.
Well, the Necronomicon will help them with that.
Oh, I'm sure they have that already. But I think the good wizards have won, but now they're just all being mind controlled by the evil wizards. I don't even think the evil wizards are in power. They're not even there. They're more behind the scenes. They're who's Paul Halyer's talking about.
Yeah, they're the ones that are manipulating everyone with their wizardry spells. They're like, you are under my magical influence now, and you will do as I say.
God, what if the whole good wizard force is corrupted and we can't tap into it to fight evil wizards because they have evil wizard viruses in it?
Well, we need to become the new good wizards and protect ourselves from the evil viruses that the evil wizards cast on good wizards to prevent good wizards from defeating evil wizards and continuing to be good wizards.
We need costumes and a theme song. Stat.
Oh my God. So many costumes, so many awesome special effects and explosions and lightning bolts.
Yeah, we'll have special chips in our mind that let us block off the corrupted force of the good magic realm so we can go there and fight off the evil forces that dwell within it.
I was thinking of just like hiding fireworks up my sleeve and shooting them out. like, ha ha! I am a wizard. And then like Roman candles shoot out from my sleeve, and all the kids are like, ooh, ah! And then I like aim them at my enemies, and then their fucking hair catches on fire,
and then their robes catch on fire
or something. And I'm like, ha ha! I told you, I am a wizard that definitely shoots fireballs out of his sleeves.
I am the fire wizard.
100%. And then like I drop some smoke bombs and run away. I got it all planned out. It'll be awesome. If it's dark, I'll have a strobe light so they think I'm moving in slow motion. I got all the tricks, Mateo. You'll see.
You are well versed in this wizard war.
Yeah. I see your wand is as big as mine. But back to Hitler. But a year later, in 1941, there's this dude named Richard Tupper who was this guy who worked at an American naval factory. And he got it in his head that he wanted to hex Hitler. So he reached out to an author and occultist named William Seabrook. He was the author of Witchcraft, Its Power in the World Today, because he was into that sort of thing. But he wrote a letter to him inquiring how he could go about hexing Hitler. And he basically just wanted him to throw a bunch of crap together. And he said, just give me some crazy words to say and tell me how to use a magic doll. And basically he just wanted this spell this ritual to sound magical. And he wanted to see if he could spread the word about hexing Hitler. And William Seabrook was on board. He created this whole thing and sent complete instructions back to Richard Tupper on how to create a spell to hex Hitler. He told them how he could use a proxy to represent Hitler, how to make it so it was basically christened as Hitler or baptized as Hitler. And there was incantations. They would stab it with needles and nails and pins. And Seabrook also suggested that they get very drunk. But Seabrook was an alcoholic, so
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with magic, son. Drink up.
Personally, I always get shit canned before I do any spells, but I recommend that.
It has to help.
But the main thing that Seabrook communicated to Tupper was that it didn't matter if it was taken seriously. The whole point of the thing was to get as many people as possible to perform the ritual and to make sure that Hitler found out that people were doing it. So Tupper began to host these weekly gatherings where him and a group of his friends, usually it was around 20 people, would gather together for dinner. They'd get drunk, and then they would curse Hitler until midnight. And they did this once a week. And they decided one time to make a big event of it. So they invited Seabrook to join them. They got a cabin in Maryland, and they got a bunch of people together along with a reporter from Life magazine to document the whole thing.
Whoa.
This time, instead of just using a small doll, they got a dressmaker's dummy, bought a Nazi uniform, put it on the dummy, and painted its face with the Hitler mustache. Then they gathered together a bunch of nails and pins and sharp objects, bunch of rum, some drums, got drunk, had a drum circle, and some of the people decided to dress up in wizard robes for the occasion. And then once everybody's good and drunk and in the mood, they christen the dummy by saying, "You are Hitler, Hitler is you." And the group chants it together over and over again to really bring home the idea that this is now Hitler. This is no longer representation. This is Hitler. Then they started the ritual, and it starts with the lines, "The woes that come to you, let them come to him. The death that comes to you, let it come to him." And then all of the participants would take turns hammering spikes or whatever sharp objects they had into the heart of this Hitler dummy. And then after that was all done, the leader of the ritual would yell out, "Hitler, you are an enemy of man and the world. We curse you by every tear and drop of blood you have caused to flow. We curse you with the curses of all who have cursed you." And then the group responds with, "We curse you." And then as the ritual comes to an end, they invoked a dark god called Istan and asked Istan to send cats to claw out Hitler's heart and then dogs to go eat his heart.
Whoa, why the dark turn all of a sudden?
Because fuck Hitler, that's
Yes,
why.
absolutely. That's just weird, though, huh?
Yeah.
Everything sounded good up until they summon a dark god. Holy shit.
Yeah. But then as they repeat the invocation to the dark god, they drive more nails into the heart. And then to conclude the ritual, Tupper was, because he was the host, he got to decapitate Hitler. And then they dragged his body out into the woods, all drunk, dug a hole, and buried the decapitated Hitler. And then Life magazine took pictures of the party. They wrote up about the ritual itself, and they even printed up in there how to perform the ritual itself.
Damn. How much you guys want to bet that article was staged and they just chopped up some poor hobo they found down the street?
It's better if you use a living person and paint a mustache on them.
Yeah, but everybody knows that real magic doesn't work on by sacrificing dummies.
No. You need to sacrifice humans.
Yeah.
100%. If they have facial hair and you can shave a Hitler mustache on them, it's even better.
Yeah, they just had to wait to find a bum that had no connections.
You know what?
And a mustache.
You look just like Hitler. And he's like, what? Who's Hitler? Because keep in mind that the U.S. wasn't even at war with Germany yet. They were just like, fuck Hitler. This guy's a fucking piece of shit. But
hit him in the head with a flashlight.
The U.S. ended up joining the war a little bit later. And then Hitler died in 1945. So was the hex the result of his death 4 years earlier? Did it take that long?
Well, now you can say yes because they did the hex.
Not. But let's say it was, but probably not.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, though, I don't want to draw any conclusions here, but Hitler died in 1945 by suicide. William Seabrook, who created the ritual, also died in 1945 by committing suicide.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, maybe they did chop up a homeless dude.
Or maybe, just maybe, William Seabrook cast a spell sacrificing his life to take out Hitler.
Oh, that dark god finally answered. He's like, hey,
the
dummy's cute
He's
and
like,
all.
hey, I will give you my life, but kill Hitler. He's like, you know what? I will do it.
Got yourself a deal there, homie.
All right, so much like hexing Hitler, we've now got this spell that's going around to bind Donald Trump. And I'm going to walk you through the spell. Now keep in mind that this spell can also be used to bind other people as well. But also keep in mind that the act of binding someone, in magical terms, not in fun kinky ways. If you're into that, that's cool. I don't want to preach morality on that front, but from a magical standpoint, if you're going to be binding someone, you need to keep in mind that what you're doing is attempting to prevent them from enacting their own free will. So that's going to, if you believe in karma, that's likely to have some sort of karmic retribution. So even if it's for the greater good, you're still taking away someone's free will. So that's, it's bound to come back to you in some way. So, be careful how you're doing it.
Could get the herpes.
Yeah, you don't want to get the clap or the skull face. None of that shit. But this spell, as I mentioned, is performed every month. It's started at midnight on the waning crescent moon each month. And the first time it was done was February 24th, 2017. And they started at the stroke of midnight. So if this is something that you want to participate in, like I said, every month, midnight, waning crescent moon. And that's midnight Eastern Standard Time. And the reason for that is because, the reason for the Eastern Standard Time is because that is the same time zone that Washington, D.C. is in, Mar-a-Lago is in, and New York City, which, as everybody knows, is where Trump Tower is. So because this is where the location is, that's the time zone that we're starting in. So adjust your clocks accordingly if you're going to be doing this to match up with midnight Eastern Standard Time. And you're going to need a few things. So if you're binding Trump, you will need an unflattering photo of Trump. If it's not Trump, you can use, a picture of whoever your target is.
It has to be an unflattering photo.
It should be, yeah, because you're trying to display his ugliness, I suppose. You don't want to pick. I mean, honestly, a picture of Trump looking sexy is going to be hard to find, but you don't want a sexy Trump picture. You want an unflattering Trump picture. Then you want a Tower tarot card from any tarot deck. It doesn't have to be a specific one, but the Tower card. You want a tiny stub of orange candle, a pin or a small nail so that you can inscribe the candle. A white candle of any size. This is going to represent the element of fire. A small bowl of water, which will represent the element of water. A small bowl of salt, which will represent the element of earth. A feather, and this will represent the element of air. And then you'll need matches or a lighter, an ashtray, or a dish filled with sand. Oh, shit. Hold on 1 second. No. Come on, you fucker. No. Yes. Okay, then optional components. Optional components are black thread if you're going to be doing the traditional binding variation of the spell. If you can't find a baby, or if you can't find a orange candle, then you can use a baby carrot. And then for some added power, a piece of pyrite, which is fool's gold, that you'll place in front of you or on your altar while you're performing the ritual. So you're going to want to arrange all of your items together in a circle in front of you. Lean the Tower card up against something so that it's standing up vertically. And then you want to say a prayer for protection. If you've got anything specific that you say for protection or whatever, or to help you feel better, or call upon a deity or spirit or anything, do that before you start the ritual. Once you do that, light the white candle, and then you start the spell. So I will read the spell out loud.
I will throw in creepy music.
I think I've got a slight buzz, but I don't want to touch it because it's going to make it worse. So, you know how earlier in the show I said my equipment is working? If you can hear that buzz right now, it's because my equipment is not working right now. So just pretend like it's a magical vibrator that's pleasuring your brains. All right, so you light the white candle, and then you say, "Hear me, O spirits." By the way, I'm not using echo effect for this because I want to be heard. But "Hear me, O spirits." And you also don't need to use the accent. I'm just doing it for dramatic flair. "Hear me, O spirits of water, earth, fire, and air, heavenly hosts, demons of the infernal realms, and sprites of the ancestors." Oh shit, no. "And spirits of the ancestors." Then at this point, you're going to light the orange candle. And then you say, "I call upon you to bind Donald J. Trump, so that his malignant works may fall..." Fucking shit. "So that his malignant works may fail utterly, that he may do no harm to any human soul, nor any tree, animal, rock, stream, or sea. Bind him, so that he shall not break our polity, usurp our liberty, or fill our minds with hate, confusion, fear, or despair. And bind too all those who enable his wickedness, and those whose mouths speak his poisonous lies. I beseech thee, spirits, bind all of them as with chains of iron. Bind their malicious tongues, strike down their towers of vanity. And at this point, you're going to turn your Tower Tarot card upside down. I beseech thee by name. And then you say your full name. In the name of all who walk, crawl, swim, or fly, of all the trees, the forests, streams, deserts, rivers, and seas, in the name of justice and liberty and love and equality and peace, bind them in chains, bind their tongues, bind their works, bind their wickedness. And then you're going to light the ugly Trump picture on fire from the flame of the orange candle. And then put it... What?
I said, whoa, shit, now we're burning stuff.
Oh, yeah. You light the shit on fire. Because you gotta burn that ugly ass. But then you hold it above, and you hold it above your ashtray so you don't burn your house down. And then speak the following loudly as the photo burns to ashes. You're fired! You're fired! And, just repeat that over and over. If you can do a Trump accent or voice and say it, that would be glorious. I would love if you did that. But after you repeat "you're fired" a bunch of times, you blow out the orange candle, and as you do it, visualize Trump blowing apart into dust or ash like fucking Thanos snapped. Then you want to pinch or snuff out the white candle, and then once the ritual ends, everyone who's doing the ritual should break out in laughter. Just start cracking up with laughter, because laughter really is the best medicine. Fuck apples.
Does it really say to laugh?
Yep. That's how you end the ritual. Yeah. So, afterwards, after the ritual, to really bring things home and keep everybody grounded, it's good to sit back, relax, and laugh, and have something good to eat.
And in reality, they all hump.
I mean, maybe. You could throw some sex magic in there. Add to the power of sex. I mean, there's a whole fucking practice of sex magic.
Yep.
So it's, if you're into that sort of thing, maybe you can do some binding in other ways, in fun, kinky ways that your neighbors would frown upon.
Let them frown at my magic.
Yes, you could. I'll fucking magic your ass. Fucking cast balding spells on your wife. How about that? Who's the bitch now, Tom?
Balding spells on your
And so now, everybody who's listened to this show, follow those directions, and you can be a warrior wizard as well. I know I just kind of fucking read everything from the spell, but if you just Google bind Trump spell, it's all over the internet. It went viral, so it's pretty easy to find. I'm sure you could probably find the ritual being conducted on YouTube. I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's there.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
Yeah. So check that out. I apologize for the brain vibration that ended the show, but shit's not working right. And I thought it was working right. I held up most of the show, and I'll try to make things better next week.
Yeah, we actually figured out what it is, so we will have that.
Yeah, we did.
pronto.
I've finally isolated it today, so I know what's up, and it's an easy fix. So next episode should be all good. But if you guys are going to be warrior wizards, couldn't hurt to check out Magic for the Resistance by Michael Hughes. I don't know him, but I'm plugging it because it's a fucking cool book, and I want a legion of warrior wizards to have the Whatcasts back when shit goes sideways with the fucking NWO wizards.
Yep.
So, be on our side and we'll be on your side, guys.
That's true. We will offer our services in return.
And we got a fucking squadron of barn owls. So, what do they have? An evil time traveling Barack Obama, probably. I'll get you, Obama, if it's the last thing I do.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.